What's up, guys? Welcome back to our 2024 recap month by month by month. January just dropped. We are in February. January only had 2 events. February, we take off. February 2024 was a ginormous month in the UFC. One of the biggest moments, events happened in February. So let's get into it. 4 events in February of 2024, which is always great. That week by week by week. But the first one to kick it off, middleweight division, February 3rd at the Apex. And that's going to be a common stream back-to-back. Middleweight division, Roman Dolidze versus Nasruddin Imavov. Say that 9 times fast. All right, guys. Nasruddin wins this fight, wins it by unanimous decision, and a big fight. He had a really, really good 2024, 3 wins for him. You know, spoiler alert, in 2025, February, Saudi Arabia, he's fighting Israel Adesanya. So Nasruddin right here is in a main event of an Apex card. You're not really sure where he's at. A major 2024 for him. So he wins unanimous decision, the first main event of the month. Probably the biggest win on that card of February 3rd at the Apex. Manny Moicano. Moicano wins the co-main event against Drew Dober via unanimous decision. Moicano had a breakthrough 2024. He's always been one of the most talented fighters in the company. But 2024 was Moicano's year inside the octagon and outside as well. Another big night, fighter had a big 2024, started it right there at that Apex show. Charles Johnson won the fight, and he won 4 times this year. So a great breakout year for Charles Johnson. Kicks it off. You got to win 1 first, right? So that was his first win, 4 wins of the year. The bonuses, Charles Johnson, Randy Brown, and Molly McCann. Shout out Molly McCann. So that was the first show. Middleweight main event, Apex. The next week on February 10th, we do the same thing again, guys. We have a middleweight main event at the Apex. We got Jack Hermansson versus Joe Pfeiffer. Joe Pfeiffer was the betting favorite. He was the ascendant superstar going into this fight. Jack Hermansson goes, nah. Hermansson wins via unanimous decision. A big bounce back win for Jack Hermansson. The big note on this card, I said it last month in January. This is going to be a common thread in 2024. Carlos Prats wins on this card. His first out of 4 wins. The ginormous year for the Fighting Nerds was kicked off here for Carlos Prats, who main events a card later on this year. He wins on this card. Co-main event, Dan Ige wins, and also RoboCop Gregory Rodriguez gets a W on this Apex card. The bonuses are Ige, Rodolfo Vieira, Carlos Prats, and Baghdad Gusov, also known as Anthony Smith's doppelganger. So that was the appetizer to get us into what we're about to talk about, the biggest card of the month, one of the biggest cards of the year. But big thing, Carlos Prats wins, breaks out, and Hermansson gets the upset win against Joe Pfeiffer. All right, the cherry of February, probably the biggest card to date in 2024, right here, guys, UFC 297. Anaheim, California at the Honda Center will feature the featherweight championship match, Ilia Topuria versus Alexander Volkanovski. Doesn't get much bigger than this. People can argue he was the fighter of the year. I'm an Alex Pereira guy, but if you want to argue Ilia, I will listen, because he had the back-to-back, maybe the biggest wins of 2024. The 2 biggest wins, Ilia might own both of them. Knocking out here in the second round against Alexander Volkanovski, who was the featherweight king for years and years prior. So Ilia gets one of those big moments, gets a knockout, the walkout, the pictures. This is a Ilia Topuria superstar, creator. What a night for Ilia. What a night for the UFC. Created another megastar in Ilia Topuria, created a brand new champion. Well, we will say a lot. Last month in January, Dricus and Rocky. Here it is right now with Ilia. So in 2 months, 3 brand new champions. So Ilia Topuria is the highlight. He is the month of February. His face should be on all posters if anyone's talking about February 2024. Also on this card, Robert Whittaker defeats Paul Acosta in the co-main event. A fun co-main event, by the way. Ian Gary gets a win. Sneaky. Not a lot of people remember this. It was a split decision win against Jeff Neal. Two judges, I believe it had it 30-27 Ian Machado Gary. One judge had it 29-28 Neal. So kind of weird to look back on that. We just think it was a pretty easy performance or a really good performance by Ian. He actually won via split decision. So pretty wild. Also, maybe one of the more important wins of this year, especially on this month, Merab Dvalishvili beats Henry Cejudo via unanimous decision on this card. If you remember, he's the one, he's picking him up, looking at Mr. Facebook Zuckerberg when he was doing that, defeated Henry Cejudo. What sets up one of the biggest fights of the year later on in 2024, Merab Dvalishvili beats Henry Cejudo. The bonuses on this card, Amanda Lemos versus Mackenzie Dern wins fight of the night. Ilia Topuria, Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, who had a great 2024 as well, and Zhang Mingyang. Yep, I know you guys remember that. So, third card of the month. Those first two fights, to me, were appetizers, really to push and promote Ilia versus Volk. Ilia Topuria, the superstar so far, February 2024. All right, the last card of the month. So a lot of people forgot this card and some really key fights on it. Let's put it up there right now. Brandon Moreno versus Brandon Royval, and Yair Rodriguez versus Brian Ortega. Both of those are rematches. Both of those are really cool, exciting fights. If those fights happen in 2025, I would be pumped. Those are great fights, great card. Mexico City with a shout out gets the last card of the month of February. Brandon Royval, my fault, guys. Royval was, remember, a short, late notice fighter. It was supposed to be Morano versus Amir Abazi. Amir got hurt. Brandon Royval stepped up, gets the big time opportunity that really leapfrogs him into a great 2024 as well. Royval won that fight via split decision. Really exciting fight, really good fight. It's one of those fights. January, the most underrated fight was that Mosa versus Arnold Allen. The most underrated fight of this month to me was this Brandon Moreno versus Royval fight. If you guys haven't watched the fight or only watched it once, go back, YouTube, ESPN Plus, whatever you got to do, watch that fight. Brian Ortega submits Yair Rodriguez, third round arm triangle choke. And then the bonuses were Daniel Zellhuber versus Francisco Padilla for fight of the night, Brian Ortega, and also Manuel Torres. So that's kind of UFC Mexico City in a bow. Morano and Royval was definitely the highlight. Great fight. Royval wins the split decision in Mexico City. So shout out to those judges. And Yair and Ortega wins. So there's February, guys. 4 cards, 2 apexes, 1 humongous pay-per-view in the Honda Center in Anaheim, California. And they ended the month in Mexico City. Great environment, great venue, great month. January was phenomenal. Only 2 cards. February is one of these sleeper, overlooked months of the year. And for the UFC, February of 2024 was absolutely crucial. And like I said, it was Ilia Topuria's month, maybe even his year. So there you go. There is February 2024 recap. We'll see you guys soon. March 2024 is next. Let's go.